大家好，欢迎大家收看安娜看法节目。近年来，美国的移民政策持续成为社会关注的焦点，而特朗普政府近期的一项驱逐行动再次引发了巨大的争议啊。这一次被驱逐的对象并非无证移民，而是一名美国的永久合法居民 Mahmoud Khalid。他不久前刚刚从哥伦比亚大学毕业了，而且在校园内领导了反对以色列加沙战争的抗议活动。然而呢，国土安全部迅速的介入，并且试图以移民身份的问题为由将他驱逐出境。那么这个案子到底意味着什么呢？移民执法是否已经进入到了一个新的阶段呢？如果说连绿卡持有者都有可能面临驱逐，其他移民又该如何确保自己的身份呢？今天我们特别的邀请到了家庭法和移民法的专家安娜律师楼的创始人安娜戴米奇律师 Anna Demichik， 请她来和我们大家一起深入的探讨这个话题哈。Hi Anna, great to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
安娜，我想请问一下啊，这个案子到底有什么特别之处呢？为什么说它能够成为全美国关注的新闻呢？Anna, what is so special about this case, and why is it making national headlines?
Well, the case is making national headlines for mainly two reasons, and I believe for this audience, one reason might be more important than another. So just to give a very brief recap, Mahmoud Khalil is a former Columbia student. He graduated fairly recently. He is currently a green card holder. He was detained by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He was detained and now he's in removal proceedings for something related to participating in protests, in anti-Israel protests in Colombia last year. So why it is very important? Well, one reason it's important is because it raises all kinds of First Amendment right issues, free speech, freedom of association, freedom to gather and protest. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not really a big expert on those things. What I'm going to talk about today is more the interplay with immigration and how different kinds of immigrants are being dealt with by this administration. And the reason Mahmoud Khalil's case is so important now is because it appears that he is not really being dealt with the reason he should be, considering that he's a green card holder. Now, it also seems like when the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents came to detain him, they possibly did not know that he was in fact a green card holder. It seems like they were under the impression that he was still on a student visa. And that is troubling, right? Because as a green card holder, he was not afforded the rights that a green card holder should have in this kind of situations. And also it's troubling because it seems like the ICE DHS don't do thorough checks on the people they are about to detain, on the people they want to detain, which they really should, right? This not doing thorough checks is rather troubling, considering that literally anyone could find themselves in danger if they encounter Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
安娜，我想请问您哈，国土安全部误认为他是 F1 学生签证的持有者，实际上他是绿卡持有者啊。刚才你也说到了，这样的误会到底是怎么发生的呢？Anna, how does a mix-up like this even happen?
I believe it happened because he was a foreign student just recently. He graduated last year. He applied for a green card last year. His green card was approved in the end of last year as well. So I think what possibly happened, and I may be wrong here, right? Because we don't know every single detail. ICE has not disclosed every single detail of their decision making as of now. As far as I know, as of recording of this video, we might know something later. But it seems like DHS, ICE, which is the same agency essentially, they became aware of Mahmoud Khalid during his protests when he was still on a student visa. And so they just did not really anticipate that he would be in a process of getting a green card, and they simply did not check the database. It possibly also the issue that different databases in immigration system don't really communicate with each other. So the moment somebody gets a green card, that database does not send a notification to every other database where this person was at some point that, okay, now all the other visas have to be canceled and not active any longer. So possibly whoever was curating his case got the case before he was even a green card holder, and the last thing they saw was that his student visa was active, and they just did not double check to make sure that nothing else was going on.
好，非常感谢安娜律师的介绍啊。我想请问一下，他是绿卡持有者，而不是学生身份签证的持有者哈。那这两者身份对于案件的结果到底有什么样的影响呢？Anna, what difference does it make that he was a green card holder instead of a F1 student?
Well, it makes a world of difference because a green card is a permanent resident status. This status confirms rights on the people who hold it, rights that they don't get if they just have a temporary visa. And that basically means that, so temporary visa, a student visa, for example, is discretionary. The government can very easily revoke it for some tiny reason or even perhaps for no reason whatsoever. And we've seen that happening multiple times with student visas getting revoked over some accusations or even the lightest criminal charges that later are resolved. Student visa is revoked and you have to go get another one. Green card is different. Green card can only be revoked on certain grounds, and the government has to prove those grounds. And the person whose green card is being revoked has a right to defend their green card, to put up a meaningful response as to why their green card should not be revoked, right? And the grounds for green card revocation are going to be certain types of criminal convictions, such as, for example, aggravated felonies, or crimes of moral turpitude committed within a certain time after receiving a green card. It can be abandonment of residency. It can be fraud and misrepresentation in obtaining a green card. It can be engaging in activities deemed to be against US national security. So there's a limited number of grounds why a green card can be revoked as opposed to a visa, for example. And these grounds must be proven, and the person must have a meaningful process to defend their green card.
好，非常感谢安娜的介绍啊。那作为移民的话，到底应该如何确保自身的安全呢？Anna, how can immigrants protect themselves and avoid a situation like this?
Well, again, we are running into something that is more practical than legal necessarily. And it will also apply not just to immigrants, but to the US citizens as well, okay? Because if immigrants get taken without much due process, I mean, how do we know that the citizens are safe, right? So I would say, practically speaking, definitely have people whose numbers you remember, phone numbers you remember. If somebody takes away your phone, right? If you're in detention, your phone is taken away, 2 or 3 people whose phone numbers you remember, whom you can call and say, hey, I'm here, I'm in trouble, get me a lawyer, get my mom, whatever it is, just memorize it. Have the people you trust, right? Maintain connections with your community, extremely important. Number 2, I would say it's a good idea to carry an ID. And I'm saying it's a good idea because, for example, US citizens are not required to carry an ID. Right? You don't have to walk around with something proving that you're a US citizen. Green card holders are supposed to have green cards with them, but citizens don't. But still, I think if you're a citizen, possibly have the driver's license, real ID with you, just to avoid potential issues if you get mixed up into something. Will it help 100%? I don't know. We just recently had some reports about a person who was detained, who was a US citizen born in the United States. He had his ID with him, and he was apparently detained at some pizza place in Chicago, and nothing unlawful was going on. There was no reason for ICE DHS to think that this person would be an immigrant. This person was detained and he had his ID on him, but he nevertheless spent a night in detention, like 10 hours or so, before someone even checked that ID. So like I said, have the ID with you, but also do remember a couple phone numbers to call your friends, to call your family. Just be prepared for this kind of encounters, because as of now, it appears that ICE is not necessarily doing the job of checking who should be detained and who should not be.
好，今天非常感谢安娜律师的专业解析哈。如果说您对自己的移民身份有任何的疑问，千万不要等到问题发生后才去应对，提前做好准备才是最好的保护措施哈。Thank you again, Anna, and for your insight. Thank you very much. See you next time.
Thank you. Stay safe, everyone.